Greetings, my name is Shiva from Mythcrafts, and if you like what you hear, our storytelling, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the alert button. It's a dog's life, the roots of cynical philosophy. When we throw around the word cynic casually, it usually refers to someone who distrusts the motives of others while looking down on them. This is a modern interpretation of the word. For any speaker of ancient Greek, the meaning would have been clear. Cynics are like dogs. The word kion means dog, where we get the word canine from. And kainikos means dog-like. In a forthcoming post, we will focus on the life and thoughts of Diogenes, a Greek philosopher who was one of the founders of Cynicism. As a precursor, this post asks the question, so why were the Cynics dog-like? To quote the mid-18th century historian of philosophy and philology, Christian August Brandis, there are 4 reasons why the Cynics are so named. First, because of the indifference of their way of life. For they make a cult of indifference, and like dogs, eat and make love in public, go barefoot, and sleep in tubs and at crossroads. The second reason is that the dog is a shameless animal, and they make a cult of shamelessness, not as being beneath modesty, but as superior to it. The third reason is that the dog is a good guard, and they guard the tenets of their philosophy. The fourth reason is that a dog is a discriminating animal, which can distinguish between its friends and enemies. So do they recognize as friends those who are suited to philosophy, and receive them kindly, while those unfitted they drive away, like dogs, by barking at them. Christian August Brandis, Scholium on Aristotle's Rhetoric, quoted in Dudley, 1937, page 5. Or, to quote Diogenes himself, via Stobaeus, a 5th century CE writer from Macedonia, other dogs bite their enemies. I bite my friends to save them. Diogenes of Cynical, quoted by Stobaeus in Anthology, Book 3, Chapter 13, Paragraph 44. So what was the point of a cynical life? Primarily such a life seeks eudaimonia, meaning good daimons, here understood as human happiness. This requires mental clarity, transcending false, confused, arrogant, or decadent beliefs. Eudaimonia requires self-reliance, equanimity, love of our fellow humans, and an indifference to the hardships of life. It also requires the reason to live in accord with nature. Here, reason mentally, which in itself requires openly challenging all of the social norms and cultural pursuits that take away from living a natural life. This last point differentiates the Cynics from the Stoics and the Buddhists. The latter 2 groups were not into proselytizing, let alone condemning people in general. The Cynics, on the other hand, were social beings, poking fun at all social norms. One of their heroes was the mythical Heracles, who was proudly antisocial, and had managed to successfully wrestle, capture, and return Cerberus, the 3-headed hound of Hades, to his home in that underworld. To imitate their symbolic hero, they walked with staffs, not to help them get around, but as weapons to be used when insulting the populace at large. And like Heracles, they had an intimate relationship with dogs. Historically, Cynicism is a bridge between the philosophy of Socrates and the beginning of Stoicism, with 3 principal thinkers in between. First came Antisthenes, a pupil of Socrates in the late 400s BCE. Diogenes followed him. In turn, Diogenes' student, Crates of Thebes, would teach Zeno of Citium, who was regarded as the founder of Stoicism. Crates of Thebes, like Diogenes before him, came from a place of privilege, but gave it all away as part of his renunciation. It is very likely that all 3 men were influenced by the so-called gymnosophists, which literally translates to naked seekers of wisdom, various wandering ascetics from India, as asserted by Philo, Lucian, Clement of Alexandria, Philostratus, and Heliodorus of Emesa. As a side note, if you're looking at the word gymnosophists and wondering about the prefix gym, it does mean naked, as ancient Greek gymnasiums were filled with entirely naked athletes, doused in olive oil. Etruscan gymnasiums, being more progressive, as Etruscan society generally was, also let women flail around in the nude, doused in oil. But I digress. A true cynic has no property or desire for wealth, fame, power, or reputation. The cost of freedom, much like it is for both classical Stoics and Buddhists, is renunciation. The cynics just add a layer of snark, making a point of the follies of society, high and low. As noted above, we will be shortly looking at the dogman himself, Diogenes of Sinope. In the meantime, keep barking. This is Shiva for Mythcrafts. Thank you for tuning in.